Day 615, Justice for Tyrone West and Justice for all victims of police brutality. Tawanda, it's all you.
Yes, thank you so much, my queen. Yes, so again, we're fighting for accountability, not just for my big brother, just like my queen said, Tyrone West, but literally for all the victims of police brutality and murder. And tonight we'll have a special guest, my queen. Latoya's going to come on. That's Xavier Hill's mom, and she's been fighting tirelessly for accountability for her son that should be here. And no family should have to just fight for accountability. It's just sad, but at the same time, it's an honor when I see people, doing what's right. And, as heartbreaking and devastating as things are, we are forced to do the things that are right. So I'm just giving a shout out to all my queens that are and kings that are fighting for accountability for their loved ones. So big shout out to everybody, and big shout out to Donna Rochester's mom as well, who's been fighting for accountability for her son. So we're gonna play the video that we play, but until our queen comes on, I have some special announcements and something that I wanted to discuss. So we're gonna go to the daily, weekly video that we play when we're online. So stay tuned. Momentarily, we'll be right back. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Can't stop, won't stop, till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
No.
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz. In a video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, Abdul Salam, July 1st, 2013. Here Salam is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly, picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck. I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, Darrell Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, Sid, what's wrong with it? Improper way with it. There's no such thing as an improper way.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the job?
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration?
Yeah, let me get it up.
Profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
Hold on a second, sir. Do me a favor, take out your keys.
Dad, you can record for what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? I'm about to do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are two law-abiding citizens that we are getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardes Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 and 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, so as I watch that video that we play constantly, it is just a mirror echo of why we need accountability right now. Like, it is so disgusting and heartbreaking that the lack and failure to just give citizens protections is it's horrible. And literally to see Darrell, who was almost brutalized. Well, he was brutalized, but he could have been killed. He could have been Tyrone West. But literally seeing this young man, right, 24 hours before, and seeing Abdul Salam literally 2 weeks before, and they did nothing. And until this day, 615 weeks, still nothing? Like, at what point are they going to take this issue serious? It's disgusting. And so tonight, I'm right on it and sad at the same time, because no family should have to go through losing their loved ones behind police brutality. And before, as we wait for my sister, I'm going to have Uncle Bill, because he shared some very valuable, important information with me when he was discussing the numbers and things like that. So I'm going to hand it over to Uncle Bill, and then when he's finished, I'm going to talk about our special, beautiful queen tonight. Mic check.
Mic check. So until recently, we had fairly accurate numbers and understandings about the extent of police killings, but we have not had accurate numbers and correct understandings about the number of people they brutalize who live. So tonight I'm going to share some material that we were able to find that finally puts its finger on how extensive this particular problem is. The material that I'll be talking about tonight comes from an article in a publication called The Guardian. It was published, this particular issue, about 9 months ago. And all the research they talk about actually comes from the same people who do the research to keep abreast of the number of police killings, the same information we speak about each night when we read the sad list of recent police killings. So as of now, actually 2024 under Biden, there were about 1,200 police killings a year. That means every 3 days, that's 10 people, more than 3 a day. And that 1,200 number under Biden was actually larger than the number, the highest numbers under Trump in his first term. So we see that it's a problem that goes beyond Republican and Democrat. So now we come to the new information. For non-lethal police violence, that is to say when police use violence, but the victims don't die, the researchers estimate from doing extensive research that about 300,000 use of force cases occur each year, if not more. That's like their minimum estimate. And on top of that, there are about 200,000 more cases when the cops threaten force. So if you count both their use of force and their threat of force, that's about 500,000 cases every year. Now, if we think just about the cases where they use force but don't kill anybody, that 300,000 number, if we want to figure out for each police killing how many people they brutalize, we divide the 300,000 by the 1,200 killings per year. And it turns out that for each time the cops kill somebody, on average, they have used force against 250 people. And since on average they kill a little more than 3 people a day, that means they use violence against about 750 people each day. They brutalize about 31 people every hour. I'm speaking about the whole United States, and about 1 person every 2 minutes. So if we think about our West Wednesday live stream or a rally on the street for West Wednesday, and let's assume it goes for an hour and a half, 90 minutes, during that time, the police have brutalized about 45 people. And they do brutalize a lot of white folks, but black folks in 2022, which is the most recent, they could get this information, black folks are brutalized at a much higher rate, 3.2 times greater than the rate of brutalizing white folks. And it should be mentioned that they weren't able to fully get the information about how many of the victims were armed and how many were unarmed. But as I said, they did a lot of careful research. And to the best of their ability, the majority of the people against whom force has been used by police on a regular basis, the majority, in fact, the large majority, were unarmed and not violent. And I'll put, if I can, I think I can, I'll put the information for the publication into the chat. And then anyone who wants to read the fuller article with all the details can do that. But I think one point to remember is during the time of this West Wednesday this evening, they probably will have brutalized about 45 people. So that's the information I wanted to bring tonight. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. And that is horrible. Like, that is disgusting. And my thing is, you talk about like, people being armed and unarmed, but at the end of the day, when they have serial killers that murder people, that gun down people, they don't even brutalize them, so they brutalize whoever they want to and use an excuse. But that is just disgusting to me. Right. And we always said that, everybody that's brutalized or have a negative encounter with law enforcement, everybody don't die. They survive. So I'm so grateful that, Uncle Bill was able to share that very important information with us. Like right now, as we're speaking, somebody's getting brutalized. That is disgusting. And then the question now becomes, why is it so easy? Why are we so comfortable with letting this go by? Like, when are we going to get serious about it? How many more Tyrone West? How many more Xaviers? How many more Anthony Andersons? The list goes on. At what point are we going to get serious? So I just want to check to see if our beautiful sister LaToya has joined in yet. I'm just checking. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. She has not joined yet.
Okay. Yes, it's sad. It's really sad. And it's just like, wow. Like, at one point, like, it's crazy. Like, I'm over it. Like, never over the fact that we're gonna keep on fighting, but we just gotta get ourselves together, and do something. Like come together and seriously take this issue because it's getting worse. It's not getting better. And then now under the new administration that says, hey, you can go ahead and rough somebody up, take them for a rough ride. He was saying this at his first term. Go ahead and give him a rough ride and all that. Like, really? At what point are we going to take it serious enough to try to do stuff to make sure that that next person is not you or your loved one? So I just wanted to see if anybody else wanted to add on to the conversation. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say I was about to type it, but I'll just say it now to make it easier. I definitely agree, Tawanda, with the sentiment that, it seems like we're not taking things seriously enough. Of course, there's nuance to it. There are people who may not know. There are those who might feel fearful of trying to do something and speak out. And that's like in regards to many issues, that affect people every day here in this country and around the world. That point you made, like not being serious enough, just reminded me of a video I watched today. A woman speaking about, Chinese businesses, building up infrastructure and pipelines in African countries. One case in particular, she talked about Zimbabwe and the effects of birth defects, malnutrition, lack of clean water for people there. And her video started off with her saying, "We are not angry enough." So I thought that was a really important sentiment. Like when we see these injustices, when we see people literally suffering every day while those who exploit them make a profit, that's a problem that we all have to address because at the end of the day, indirectly or directly, we're being exploited, we're being taken advantage of, and we're having our community image because of that. So I just thought that sentiment is really important because people, like from what you've probably seen, in your fight for Tyrone and others, is for some not until it hits them hard that they start seeing the seriousness of it. And it shouldn't have to take that for people to actually move into action. Mic check.
Mic check.
That is so true. That is so true. Like, that is so true.
I wanted to add something.
I'm sorry, mic check.
It's Ben. He's bringing in another point.
Oh, yes. Oh, hey, brother Ben. I didn't even know he was on here. Please bring it in there. Hey, Ben. Mic check.
Hey, Tawanda. So I wanted to just break down something that Bill was talking about to explain it for anybody who might not understand. I know we break this down often on this program, but just in case there's anybody new listening and doesn't really quite get it, one of the things that Uncle Bill mentioned was that the number of white people who are brutalized to police is greater than any other. However, the proportion of black people brutalized is higher than white people. And since the current administration wants to defund education and disband the Department of Education, I want to make sure that we explain what that means. And the reason why this is a problem is because black people only make up 13% of the population of the United States. So say you had a bag of M&Ms and you dump all the M&Ms on the counter and 13% of those M&Ms are red, right? And then you take a hammer and you just start smashing M&Ms. You would expect 13% of the M&Ms that you smashed to be red because you're just smashing M&Ms nilly-willy, and there's 13% of them are red, so therefore it should make sense that whatever you smash would be 13%. But that's not the case. The proportion of black people killed and brutalized by police is higher Now, if you got a hammer and you've got some M&Ms, that doesn't quite make sense unless you are taking your hammer and specifically targeting the red M&Ms. Then if you target the red M&Ms, that means that the proportion of the smashed M&Ms goes higher. They're only 13% of the bag, but more red M&Ms are getting smashed because the person holding the hammer is specifically picking out the red M&Ms. That is happening with the police in the United States. The police are specifically brutalizing and killing Black people more at a higher percentage. Now, all the M&Ms get smashed. M&Ms are getting smashed of every single color. And that means that white people are getting smashed too, Asian people are getting smashed too, Latino people are getting smashed too, Native Americans are getting smashed. But the proportion of Black Americans are getting brutalized by police is much higher than the statistical average. It's important for us to understand these complicated things because it's very easy for somebody to hop onto Facebook and be like, well, white people get brutalized more by the police than Black people, so I don't know why y'all paying attention to this. It's important because the proportion is higher. Black people are 1% of the population. And so it makes sense that if there's that kind of discrepancy, what that's telling you is that the police are actually targeting people. That's all I wanted to say. I miss y'all. Mic check.
Miss you too. Mic check. That
Mic
was a
check.
great point. Miss you too. Awesome.
Mic check.
Wow, that was great.
Tawanda, are you there?
Yeah, no, I'm still here. I was just making sure Ben didn't want to say anything else. But yeah, these are some great questions tonight. Like,
Also,
wow.
Latoya has just joined. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, so Latoya is here?
Hey.
Hey, Queen. Awesome. So yeah, so guys, I just wanted to let you guys know, well, we already know now, that our beautiful queen has joined us. And first, my queen, I just want to give you a big salute for all the amazing things that you are doing to fight for accountability for your son. Like it's mind blowing, and especially having that type of loss that nothing can replace, and still having grace to share with others and to start your podcast seemed like it was just yesterday, and then like, wow. So no further ado, I'm going to turn it all over to you. You can tell everybody what's coming up this week on Monday, and we can just take it from there. Mic check.
Mic check and welcome.
Thank
Mic
you.
check.
Thank you guys so very much. My name is Latoya Benton. I've been on Tawanda's show before, and I think I've been in a couple of events as well. My name is Latoya Benton. I am the mother of Xavier Hill. Xavier was killed January the 9th, 2021 by 2 Virginia State Troopers. Since then, it's actually not tomorrow, but Friday marks an entire year that we have been waiting from the appellate court as far as the decision is concerned on Xavier's appeal. So we're still fighting on that end as well. Stemming from that, we formed Life After the Impact, which is actually more than a podcast, it's actually a foundation as well. The foundation, we're trying to have that set upon developing a sort of legal defense fund. When I say that, I mean more so of it costs me on the back end about $63,000. I have all the receipts, and I have all the GoFundMe receipts as well, as far as the community is concerned, who helped us out in order to get to the point we are at with Xavier's case. With that being said, every Tuesday we have a podcast episode we do on Life After the Impact. We are on YouTube, Facebook, any reading services as well, where we try to highlight not only just families, but also just laws policies that are affecting us daily as community is concerned when fighting for social justice. We are marking and coming upon our 100th episode. We are not going to say we're celebrating that because this is nothing to celebrate. We are going to commemorate our 100th episode on May the 12th, which will be next Monday in DC. So if you're in the area, please come out to join us for a day of learning. And you know how you can take tools back into the community to continue to move forward. Again, it's going to be Monday, May the 12th. In DC. Like I said, our page is Life After the Impact. We are still fighting for justice. I'm still waiting for an answer again on Xavier's appellate case. It'll be almost a year in like 2 days. So this is not a joke. You know, like the mental strain of this has been a lot. But I keep moving forward. I don't know what else to do outside of moving forward. So I ask if you guys are in the area in DC to please come out. And if you're not in the area in DC, just be sure to share our flyer on Facebook and social media. And Tawana, that's all I got.
No, I appreciate that. And again, like you said, it's definitely not a celebration, but at the same time, like, I just commend your strength because nowadays, especially in these times when you have tragedies, right? Something that nobody, like, that changed your life forever, that literally ends your life. And I know how I felt when I lost my big brother. I was pretty much put on life support. I was breathing. It was like I was hooked onto a ventilator that was pretty much breathing for me, and I wasn't able to move. I was like, I can't explain that feeling. But the support that I had from my family first, and then the overwhelming support when community members were coming and gathering, and we, formed the West Coalition and did West Wednesday immediately after my brother was murdered. Like, it's just like, it's a lot to process, but I'm just only congratulating you on the fight. Like, you could have been walked away, but you said, no, I'm not turning away, and doing all this stuff on your work and then battling things that you have been battling in your own personal space, personal life, and just all this amazing things that you're doing is awesome. And then even when you shared your podcast, amazing podcast that you brought me on a couple of times to share about my brother. I'm just loving the energy and supporting you in any way. And I feel like personally you should be congratulated because I want to give you your flowers here because lots of times people always wait and talk about, oh my goodness, this person made a powerful impact, after the fact, but they never tell you why you're going through. And right now, I'm sorry, I'm like really emotional because I'm too right now is going through like different emotional chapters in my life. Like I've been working at one place almost 19 years and I literally just handed in my resignation this week and literally about to, going to a whole nother chapter. It's like hard to wrap around. It's like, oh my God. And then for me getting so much positive feedback from my parents and you know how you know that you are doing your thing, but when you hear people speak on you and they cry with you and they're like, oh my God, like it's so emotional for me right now. So and then literally like leaving one of my students' funeral memorial services last weekend. It's just like a whole lot. It's like a whole lot. So that's why, my queen, I want to give you your flowers. I want to give you your props. You should definitely be celebrated to the fullest because you just never know. At any moment, stuff can just go left, anything that can happen. And I'm just like, I'm tired of losing people and just not being able to say that thing, thinking, oh, you got tomorrow to tell this person how awesome and amazing that they are. But I want to tell you this now. I heard somebody trying to say something, mic check. Or maybe that was kickback. But I just want my queen celebrate you now because I think of things that I wanted to say to our beautiful queen, Nicole Pettiford, that passed away just suddenly this year, just out of nowhere. And seeing all the amazing work that she was doing, boots on the ground, and activism, fighting for her father-in-law, Anthony Anderson, as well as her beautiful daughter, Aja, that was murdered through community violence and whatnot. And just seeing her, do her thing. And, it's just sad. I just got all this hurt in my heart. And I just wanted to share with you and just tell you how amazing you are.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. But like I tell you all the time, I'm just a vessel, right? For me, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I definitely thank you for your words of encouragement, because that does help me move forward, and continue what I am doing for not just Xavier, but for everybody. So all the time, I'm just a vessel, and I'm just here to whatever God's purpose is. I'm just trying to fulfill just that. And like you said with Nicole, it was very sudden. As in the same way how we lost our loved ones too. It happens very suddenly. You don't know what's going to happen. So I think it's important to continue to build community. Not about our loved ones, but kind of like beyond that. I try to envision, this community back where we could care. We care about not just our loved ones, but our, community period. And what does that look like? So thank you.
I just thank you. And like you said, we all are vessels, and that was so important. And I'm glad you used that true terminology, because that's what we all are. And I had to actually realize that. Literally, I heard it and I, knew this to be true, but actually when you're hearing one thing and you're doing another one, it's two different things. So for me to have to embrace and embark on the things that I have to embrace and embark on this week, it really let me know, we are vessels. Like I had one of my parents just literally say that same terminology to me and just beg me to keep doing God's work and keep pouring into these children's lives and changing their lives and being a positive impact. Because I still remember teachers, even if I can't remember some of them names, but I can remember the great work and the ones that touched me forever. It's like we are all, and whatever impression, that mark that we leave on a child's life or family life, that mark is forever impacted. So just thanking you for being that vessel, doing the work. And I want to check in, Kalia, real quick to see if we have any questions or comments. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Can everyone hear me well? Okay, great. Yeah, so we're starting off with some mic checks from Judah, myself, and Mainism. After Bill referred to the article breaking down the use of police violence, we were able to link it in the chat as well. Mockman Polo, our beautiful brother, Marcus, husband of our beautiful friend Nicole, commented in saying mic check. After Ben came with his comment, I said, "Thank you for the analogy and breakdown, Ben." Judah commented, "I hate to be the one to share this, but it should be mentioned here that the police who killed Tyree Nichols were found not guilty today," and linked an article explaining that.
Oh my God!
Can I jump in for a sec? I just want to ask if you're still here, Judah, if you could write a clarification, because I thought that they were already convicted on the federal level, and that what they got off from today was the state, but they'll still be in jail for a good while, but I'm not sure. So if you can clarify that for us, that'd be great. Mic check.
Mic check. I also commented, "For you, Latoya, glad to have you with us tonight." Judah linked your Facebook page for Life After the Impact. Hillary commented, "Much respect for you and all you do, Latoya." I commented, "Times are picking up with changes. I'm hoping this transition is as smooth as possible, Tawanda." Descartes commented, "Mic check." And Judah just commented, "I will check. I just saw the headline myself." And that's all the comments for now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. And thank you so much for saying that. And then also, my queen, I want to know if there's anything else in addition to what you said tonight. Is there anything else you want to add? Mic check.
Mic check.
I would say no. Outside of you guys, just keep. I mean, just even like you said, as we're talking, because I read that headline about Tyree Nichols before I got on the podcast tonight, for your show, and I would like clarification on that too, because I want to know, are those guys just walking free again? Like, because again, headlines are everything. And they will put one headline out there where it makes the general public think one thing when something else is going on behind closed doors. So I think we do have to, as a community, be more vigilant about actually fact checking stuff versus going according to what the media says. I ask again, if you guys are in the DC area, to please come out on Monday, May the 12th, to commemorate our 100th episode with us. If you're not in the area, just please be sure to share our flyer as well, and then tune in at 9 p.m. right after the impact, and stay posted to my page. I'm hoping to hear, an answer pretty soon in regards to David's appellate case. We're still just waiting, but I'm hoping to hear back something soon. And that's it. Thank you very much, Tamando. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. And guys, just like you heard my queen, if you're in the DC area, or if you don't even have nothing to do, you could be in the DC area, please come out and support my queen, please. Because I promise you, if I I'm sorry, let me slow down because I'm really emotional right now, especially as I talk about embarking my new pathway. But next week is my final week, at my job. So I definitely have to be there every day. But I was, in normal times, I at least would have tried to have put in to leave work early to be down there. But however, I know that's not going to be able to happen. So if y'all can go on behalf of me or just go, like, please, we got to support our queen. Like, this work is real, something that we don't want to do, but it's something that's needed. So if you could please join our queen on Monday in the DC area, that would be greatly supported.
And so on this
Is there any other way we can support you if somebody can't make it down there? Is there anything else we could do, like in support?
This the last thing is to help share to raise our tickets. We want to, tickets are absolutely free. It's a free event. The event in itself is going to be, we're going to do what we call speed education, in the same kind of aspect of speed dating. They go around, they'll visit each state, learn some kind of aspect of what's going on in the fight for justice, but something you can take back home with you to apply in your own community. And then we'll have an interactive panel discussion right afterwards. So we plan to be very interactive with the event. Again, if you just want to use in the area who can come, if you can't get there, we can maybe get you there. Let me know. We're just trying to really pack the house. We need to sell about 15 more tickets, and they're free, absolutely free.
Awesome. Let's go. I'm ready. And then also, while I got you on here, I wanted to announce and a big shout out to my sister, Adina, who is amazing, and she put this whole event together, down to our mediator, who I'm really excited about. It's gonna be our brother Judah, so this thing gonna be powerful. We've been sharing the flyer, and I'm gonna start actively sharing it because my queen will be a part of the panelists, so I can't wait. So I want you guys, while I got you on here, to mark your calendars, because yes, we will be at a bookstore, and so definitely we'll be putting you guys. Let me give you guys the information and the dates and times and when. If anybody right now have it, that way, could y'all let us know what date is on? Because I know it's coming up in the next 2 weeks.
Tawanda, hi.
Yes.
It's on the 21st, and it's at the bookstore called Urban Reads on Greenmount Avenue.
Yes.
Oh,
Rachel just posted it.
And I wanted to say something about Urban Reads. Is at my sister Tia's store, Urban Reads, and I just love how she got so much support. When hate came to Greenmount, she shut it down, as she should. So I want to thank everybody that came down and support, lend hands, and all that kind of wonderful stuff. But Mike, check. What were you saying, Uncle Bill?
Well, I just want to ask LaToya a question. I'm planning on coming down on Monday for the 100th episode that you've been describing. I just want to see if I have the details right. It's from 6 to 8 in the evening?
Yes.
Okay, and are you able to give us the address, or should we find that on Facebook? Or
No, well, I don't. Oh my God, I don't want to lie and say the exact address. I don't want to say. Give me one. I can look at the flyer in itself, but I don't want to lie to you and give you the wrong address. I don't. Hold on one second. Can you still hear me?
yes.
Let me get out of this thing here.
And while LaToya is looking that up, if anyone else from West Wednesday or any of our friends would like to go, I'm planning on going so we could ride together if that's good for anyone.
So we're going to be at 1200 U Street Northwest, Washington, D.C.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And Queen, we can get together definitely before this weekend or no later than this weekend, so I can send you over my support as we already previously discussed. So you just hit me up after this and let me know what day works for you, and let's do it. So, yeah.
Thank you guys for having
me. You're welcome. Do anybody else want to say anything? Because unfortunately, we have a long list of names tonight that's disgusting on our police brutality list. It is disgusting. I think we have like 4 names. That is horrible. That's disgusting. So do anybody want to add anything before we go into the sad list?
Thanks for being here with us, LaToya.
Yeah. Tawanda, I wanted to let you all know Judah did post. He looked up the article and the stuff about Tyree Nichols. Would you like me to read what he said?
Sure, please do. Yes.
So he said, Bill, you're right. From the article I linked, all 5 officers involved were previously convicted on federal charges related to the incident. Despite the acquittals in the state trial, all 3 officers still face prison time at the federal level, where parole is not an option. Sentencing in those cases is pending. And then he just made a comment after saying, that said, given what's happening in the federal government these days, this is especially troubling. So that's feedback about the Tyree Nichols case.
Mic check. I also wanted to mention that with the case on the federal level, they will only be convicted of witness tampering. The federal case, the fact that they murdered him. So what they got convicted on was tampering with the witnesses, not the murder.
Thanks, Ben.
That's heartbreaking. So, in case anybody don't know what happened, Ben, can you explain what happened, what Judah just sent down in regards to the lack of accountability to our brother? Please let everybody know. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Sorry, I lost you for a minute. What'd you say, Tawanda?
Could you repeat the late breaking news that Judah just shared with everybody in regards to Tyree Nichols? What happened? So that way, if anybody's just joining us, don't know, could you just explain to them what happened this evening? Real quick again, before we go on to our sad list. Mic check.
Tawanda, I think his connections is on again, off again.
Okay, well, Bill, Uncle Bill, do you mind letting everybody know the news that Judah just shared about Tyree Nichols, please?
I'll do my best, but Ben sounds more knowledgeable about this case than I am.
No, I mean, you don't have to go into all the details that he broke it down, but what was the latest thing that Judah had shared, the comment that our beautiful sister Kalia just shared with us? Could you just read that part?
Sure. Judah said all 5 officers involved were previously convicted on federal charges related to the incident. I don't know if incident's the best word, it was a murder. Despite the acquittals in the state trial, and I believe that was today, all 3 officers still face prison time at the federal level where parole is not an option. Sentencing in those cases is pending. There's just a little confusion here about, are we talking about 5 officers or 3? Because Judah mentions both numbers. So that's what we have that Judah quickly checked for us.
So, Tawanda and Bill, this is Hillary. I have Dan here, and he just looked it up. Would you like him to bring some more clarity to that?
Yeah, please do.
So there's actually a pretty extensive article in the New York Times front page today about what happened. So Bill is right. The three officers that were acquitted today are still facing federal charges, but those federal charges are that they were convicted of witness tampering. Although one of the officers, Haley, was also found guilty of violating Tyree Nichols' civil rights by causing his bodily injury. There is one officer that was Officer Martin, that was actually the most violent of the officers, that has not had his state trial yet. So the other 3 officers were charged together, and then Martin is supposed to have his own trial, but they have not set a date even for that trial yet. But most people are pretty, of course, disappointed in the verdict today, because it was fairly obvious particularly from the facts of the evidence of the case and the visual evidence that the police were guilty of murder in this case, and they were charged with second-degree murder, but acquitted.
That's well, thank you so much for sharing that, and happy birthday.
No, thank you.
Yes,
So to be with somebody have a birthday, you're gonna have it the whole entire week, because we definitely with you. And I didn't mean to throw you on the spot, because I know you wasn't on here for that, but I'm just in flower giving mood, like to give everybody I love that's near and dear to me their flowers while they're here. So definitely appreciate you. Definitely appreciate the whole entire West Coalition. Love you guys. So one final check-in with Khalid before we go into the sad list. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Yes, in addition to the comments regarding the 5 officers involved in Tyree's murder, the other comments we have are from Mainism reacting to it. Wow, not guilty. And Judah also has added a link to another article from the New York Times regarding the state trial of the officers being acquitted, and also another happy birthday to Dan from Judah.
Mic
check.
check. Tawanda, if it's okay, I want to add one more thing about the state and federal cases.
Yes, please do.
So my understanding is the cops that killed George Floyd, and we're talking about another horrible incident, that those cops were found guilty by the state, and then they were on trial federally, if I'm remembering correctly, and they were hoping to get found guilty by the federal court system. And the reason is because in the federal jails, they figured they would have a much easier time, whereas in the local state prisons, they would probably be considered as horrible villains by the other inmates and would face some challenging times in jail. So I think in that sense, it's as Dan pointed out, it's a real loss that the state did not find the cops guilty for murdering Tyree. That's it. Mic check.
My check, yeah, it is. And it's just sad, but that just goes to show you that this is what they do. They'll find them guilty of everything else but bloody murder. It's horrible, it's disgusting, and it's despicable. It really is. So, yeah. But that gives us more strength to keep on fighting this fight nobody wants to fight. So, one last mic check. Anybody want to add or say something to her? And thanks, Ben, for dropping past. Want to give you your flowers as well. Boots on the ground. Just thanks for everything. Definitely shout out to, again, the whole West Coalition. So, mic check. Do we have any additional questions or comments before we proceed on?
Tawanda, this is Brian. I just wanted to say I'm on board, and I do have a list of community violence victims. So just in case that hadn't gotten passed on.
Okay, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that again? Because I couldn't hear you. I apologize.
I just said that I have a list of community violence victims from this week.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool. I'm yeah, so okay. All right. So yeah, so with that being said, I'm just gonna freely go from my heart instead of reading our statement, and then we'll go into the community violence, and then we will go into the police brutality. And again, it's all hand in hand. At the end of the day, nobody family member wants to get a call or hear about, whether they hear about it via social media, get a call, get that knock at the door. Nobody wants to get that devastating news that could kill you on the spot, that your loved one was murdered. You wouldn't care if it was by, little black down the street or Officer Black. You would not care. But at the same time, the only difference is, unfortunately and unfairly, when an officer murders someone, they're hardly never, ever held to accountability. And we just showed you guys. Look at what's going on with the latest news that we shared about Tyree and his family. And my heart goes out to that family, and that's just disgusting. And we saw what happened. And I always think about in these incidents, and I'm not being petty in a comparison, because you can't compare no murder, because murder is murder. But it's just sad, we had those officers to do that to him. And then I think about all the officers that murdered my brother. You're talking about 17 killer maniacs on one unarmed man, and they're still to this day hiding the video evidence. And I'm just praying that if anybody, maybe this show will open up. Maybe if you guys share this and you know somebody that has that brutal video that I, God forbid, never want to see. But in the world we live in is so demonic. It's so heartbreaking that no matter how many witnesses that you have to say, I saw an unarmed man that I don't even know get murdered, no matter if we see the track record of these killer maniacs, it's just like, oh, we don't believe it until we actually see somebody being executed. And that's disgusting. But if that's what it takes to get accountability in my brother's case, then oh well. I just need anybody to have that video or know that person that has that video. Please share this video and let them know, please contact me, because it's never too late. I done seen cases like this where people came 10, 12, 13 years later. And we're coming like arms rolling. It's not waiting on none of us. So if you have that video, please share it with me. Reach out to me, West Coalition. Please, I'm definitely in a position that I'm really kneeling at this moment, asking for this video that me and my family should have been had decades ago. So with that being said, keep that in mind. And then also I'm just going to go right into the statement that we always read, the non-discouragement statement. So it is the duty of the West Coalition to fight for accountability, not just for my big brother Tyrone West, but for all the victims of police brutality, Xavier Hill, Anthony Anderson, Timothy Flemings, the list goes on. Nobody family member deserves to be brutally murdered or executed. And we not only uplift the people that were murdered through police brutality, we also share a sad list of community violence. No one deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized. And tonight, Uncle Bill came with it. He showed you those horrible numbers of police brutality where people are surviving, but it's happening. And it's happening at an ugly, rapid pace. Like as the air that we're breathing right now, somebody's getting brutalized, someone's screaming for their life, someone is begging an officer to stop. That is disgusting to me. So with that being said, unfortunately, we don't know any of the information about the people that were involved in these murders that we read these lists from, because one is from a local and one is from a national outlet, but we have no direct details about anybody involved or any of the circumstances surrounding the case. All we're doing here is trying to come from a respectful place of love and care, just to highlight and say that we are sorry that this happened. Our hearts go out to you. The ones that pray, say a prayer. The ones that want to send positive energy, please send positive energy to these families. And even the names that we won't hear today, even the people that are being brutalized right now as I'm speaking that survive, even the surviving victims that we do know of, I'm sending love, prayers, positive vibes, all that wonderful stuff your way. So with that being said, we are going to actually take it's 8:01 now. We're gonna come back at 8:03 and start the sad list. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you guys. The time now is 8:03. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just sharing. Sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to hand it all over to our brother Brian. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Thank you, Twanda. Yeah, I just, so many times when we talk about police violence, which is, something we focus on here at West Wednesday, people are like, oh, well, why don't you talk about black on black violence? Or why don't you talk about that? And we do talk about that. We lift up all violence. First off, it's black on black violence. It's white on white violence. It's people in the communities doing violence. And that is sad. But the pain that we express so much is that when police commit violence, they often face no consequences. Now, some of the violence we'll talk about tonight may not ever receive the consequence to the people who did it. And that consequence will never help the people who are the victims, will never help the families, will never help the friends and the lovers and the coworkers. But we want to lift up these people and say that these are real human beings who have suffered real pain, and their families and their loved ones deserve to be thought of, and they deserve someone to fight for them, and we dedicate ourselves to that fight every week when we do this. And so I'm just going to read out the names of the people who have died by violence here in Baltimore in the past week. And I ask you to repeat those names back to me, to lift those names up, and to stand in solidarity with those people and their family and their coworkers and their friends, and to say that this is not right, and we stand against this. So Derek Bright, 30 years old.
Derek Bright.
Derek Bright.
Micah Cumgis, 6 years old.
Michael
Cumgis.
Terrence Todd, 47 years old.
Terrence
Todd.
Richard Smith, 21 years old.
Richard Smith.
Troy Gagler, 34 years old.
Troy
Gagler.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and because we have the list so long, we're gonna split it up. So whoever's going first is all yours. Mic check.
Mic check. So I'm gonna start the National Police Brutality list that we have tonight is from April 21st all the way through to April 30th, and I will start, and then Bill will finish up the list. And again, let's make sure that we think of all these families and community members impacted by this horrible list. Okay, the first one on the 21st of April in Farmington, Utah. This is a male whose name was withheld by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops.
Ashe.
And on April 21st, also in Deerfield Beach, Florida, 60-year-old female, Deborah Lobbins.
Deborah Lobbins.
On April 21st in Houston, Texas, a male whose name was withheld by the police.
Cell blocks
for killer cops.
Ashe.
Also on the 21st, but in Fayetteville, West Virginia, a male whose name was withheld also by the police.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
On April 22nd, in Wando, South Carolina, 17-year-old male, Tyron Kinlock.
Tyron
Kinlock.
On April 22nd, in Decatur, Texas, 46-year-old male, Brady Lee Murray.
Brady Lee Murray.
On April 23rd, in Brandon, Florida, 34-year-old male, Vincent Morin.
Vincent
Morin.
On April 23rd, in Fairfax, Virginia, 36-year-old male, Jamal Wally.
Jamal Wally.
Okay, on April 23rd, in Arbutus, Maryland, close by, 51-year-old male, Arville Jones Sr.
Arville
Jones Sr.
On April 23rd in Dana, Indiana, 57-year-old male, Michael Landers.
Michael Landers.
On April 24th in Atlanta, Georgia, 25-year-old male, Demario Smith.
Demario Smith.
On April 24th in Richland, Michigan, 77-year-old male, Abdullah Chetin.
Abdullah
Chetlin.
On April 24th in Midlothian, Virginia, 23-year-old male, Ronald Estes III.
Ronald
Estes III.
On April 25th in Lakeland, Florida, 37-year-old male, John Snyder.
John
Snyder.
On April 25th in Port St. Lucie, Florida, 35-year-old male, Alexander Taylor.
Alexander
Taylor.
On April 26th in Ambler, Pennsylvania, 43-year-old male, Robert Cholula.
Robert
Cholula.
On April 26th in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 18-year-old male, Jarius Davis.
Jarius Davis.
And I will hand the list over to Bill for the remainder of it.
Thank you, Hillary. In case anyone has come in, what we're reading now and honoring are the names of people killed by police around the United States in the last 10 days of April. And that time they killed 34 people. The next person who we're honoring and upholding tonight is from Greenwood, South Carolina on April 26th, 22 years old. I'll say the name twice. It's a little difficult. Brian Orozco Angulo. Brian Orozco Angulo.
Brian Orozco Angulo.
In Grovetown, Georgia, on the 26th, a man whose age is unknown, James Montgomery.
James Montgomery.
In West Palm Beach, Florida, again on the 26th, 20 years old, Tyrone Reiser.
Tyrone Reiser.
In Lake Ridge, Virginia, on the 26th, again, 26 years old, Joseph Cassell.
Joseph
Cassell.
In Justin, Texas, on the 27th, 54 years old, Eric Watkins.
Eric Watkins.
In Marion, Indiana, on the 27th, 56 years old, Derek Morgan.
Derek
Morgan.
In Casper, Wyoming, on the 28th, a woman, 37 years old, Jody Cobia.
Jody Cobia.
In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on the 28th, 51 years old, Jerome Cooper.
Jerome Cooper.
In Oro Valley, Arizona, on the 28th, a man whose age and name have been withheld by the police.
Cell blocks
for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe. In South San Francisco, California, on the 28th, 60 years old, Brian Montana.
Ryan
Montana.
In Florence, Kentucky, on the 29th, 35 years old, Michael Simpson.
Michael
Simpson.
In New York, New York, on the 29th, 28 years old, Jermaine Wright.
Right.
In Ashland, Kentucky, on the 29th, 29 years old, William Moeller.
William
Moeller.
In Mount Juliet, Tennessee, on the 29th, 33 years old, James Parker.
James Parker.
In New Iberia, Louisiana, on the 30th, 30 years old, Justin Ryan.
Justin
Ryan.
Justin Ryan.
In Manteca, California, on the 30th, 69 years old, Charles McGonigal.
Charles McGonigal.
Charles McGonigal.
And the last person we'll be upholding this evening, killed by police in Melbourne, Florida, on the 30th, 21 years old, Tyler Patterson.
Tyler
Patterson.
Patterson.
And that concludes the list of people recently killed by police. Mike check.
Mic check.
Mike check.
So again, mic check. So again, I want to give a big special shout out to my sister Queen Rachel, who always comes and steps in, steps up. So a big shout out to her. It was awesome and amazing hearing from my brother Ben. Just shout out to the whole entire West Coalition. Shout out to everybody that joined online. Big shout out to our sister Latoya. And if you can, please join her on Monday in Washington, D.C. Please show up on Monday in Washington, D.C. And unfortunately, the way we brought you in with the video, unfortunately, we're going to have to take you out with that same disgusting, true video. So please watch, share, and let's figure out what we could do next to stop all this brutality, murder, and just all this hatred that is happening all around the world. Just remember, live to love, love to live. I love you all, and we will see you next West Wednesday. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And Mr. West begging for his life, and Mr. Salam begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
No, why would you say that? Why would you
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's attorney see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the Salam vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, Abdul Salam. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender, Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardes Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.